All right, welcome to this lesson of cybersecurity fundamentals, attacks, and countermeasures. Types of attacks. Let's get into that. Types of attacks. Now, when we think about network attacks, we can kind of group these, into four large categories. And really, there's probably more categories. This is just a way of keeping it simple to help kind of understand attacks. We got reconnaissance attacks. That's, involves the unauthorized discovery and mapping of your network and systems. Basic reconnaissance, trying to find out information. Trying to see, how wide your attack surface is. End user device attacks. That's where places where worms, viruses, Trojans take place. Access attacks. This is now where we're trying to exploit known vulnerabilities and ways to access confidential data or confidential information, critical data on your network. We're trying to gain access. And DDoS, distributed denial of service attacks. Okay, that's when we want some way of trying to impact availability so that the system is not available when we want to use it. So when we think about end user attacks, we're going to start there, right? I think we're all familiar with viruses, worms, and Trojans. We hear about these all the time. Like I say, now there's a difference between worms and viruses. Sometimes we kind of dump in the same category, but no, they are different. There are some differences between. Like I say, a virus, some malicious software that's attached to another program to execute. Okay, whereas a worm it executes on its own. Like I say, that's where it can install copies of itself and infect the computer. Does not need a host. Does not need a host. Trojan, like I say, is why is it different? That the entire application was written to look like something else, when in fact it is an attack tool. That goes back to the Greek war, the Trojan horse. That's where that comes from. So there's a subtle difference between the three of those. Some popular malware attacks, some end user attacks. Zeus, game over. Like I said, that's a piece of malware. It's a Trojan disguised as something legitimate that allows access to sensitive bank account details, and it will steal all your money. The clock ransomware. Ransomware has been a very big thing recently in the last few years. Ransomware. Like I say, what it does, like I say, is one of the latest and most dangerous ransomware threats to be aware of. Fake Windows updates. This is another hidden ransomware. And what this does, like I said, instructs the readers to install some urgent Windows operating system updates. But really, here again, another Trojan. When you click on that link, it's going to going to execute .exe is to execute some ransomware. CryptoLocker, again, another ransomware. Displays a red ransom note that informs the user that your important files have been encrypted on your computer. And here's the payment window. So you see, ransomware is probably leading the pack now on a lot of your popular malware, especially from an end user attacks perspective. So when we look at different attacks, especially worms, different types of worms, and this is just a couple, just to give you an idea of how sophisticated we are getting now, or the bad guys are getting with these attacks. I don't know if you ever heard of this, called a polymorphic worm. Polymorphic. If you listen to the word itself, it actually tells you what it is. Poly meaning multiple, morphic means to change, right? Means to change. So this is a worm that can constantly change as it moves through your network. Why does it do that, you say? Why do I want to have a worm that's constantly changing? Well, because it's based on how antivirus or malware is written. Okay, when you're using signature-based malware, which is, like I said, most all of our malware is, it's whether it's Symantec, Norton, or whatever brand of choice that you use. It is based on a known signature, meaning that these companies have to know that the virus exists, so they can write the signature that will attack that virus. So what happens is, okay, the virus starts off and it looks like this. So they'll write some malware, antivirus software that will attack that. When it moves, it changes. So now what the signature that was written here is not effective at detecting this one. So by the time they write this, it is moved and changed. Again, moved and changed. So it keeps changing and morphing as it goes. So that way it keeps the antivirus software just a step behind. Also, we have armored worms. Now, what is an armored worm? That's code that is encrypted, making it difficult for antivirus companies to reverse engineer that so they can develop a signature. So like I say, so the level of worms have gotten very sophisticated from the early days of when when worms and viruses were being developed. And we talked about, like I said, Trojan, what a Trojan horses are. That can appear to be something very interesting, very user, very that a user want to do. Here's my thing. Okay, first of all, no one is going to give you a free laptop. So before you click on that button, click here and download this great tool, and well, we're going to give you a chance to win this, and this. Don't believe the hype, right? Don't believe the hype. So just be very careful before you click on any of these links to download anything. Unless you're getting, unless you're getting it from some reputable source, from GitHub or somewhere that actually is going to give you a hash, so you can actually do an MD5 or some type of hash on that to verify the integrity. Otherwise, be very careful downloading those. Now, we talked about this as probably one of the biggest type of attacks, and this is now going into the reconnaissance attacks. Social engineering. Yes, social engineering is really the big boy on the block, because this is how we get our first steps into an organization as a bad guy, into your home, into your network. Access the art of manipulating, influencing, or deceiving you in order to gain control over your computer system. Now, many ways of doing this. It could be phone, it could be emails, it could be just snail mail, just the U.S. postal system. It could be direct attack. Somebody gained access directly by talking to you. So when we look at some of the common social engineering techniques, whether it's phishing, spear phishing, quid pro quo, baiting, all of these are different types of social engineering techniques. Phishing, like I say, and we all have gotten the phishing emails and where they're trying to get information. Spear phishing, this is an organization where spear phishing, boom, they're trying to target someone individually, whether it's the C staff or it could be your IT guy. So yes, it's a targeted attack at some individuals. Quid pro quo, yeah, if you do this for me, then I will do this for you. So got to be careful about those. Baiting. That's where, we're just going to lay some USB drives or some CDs, just kind of lay them around, because, curiosity, it kills the cat, right? That's what a lot of people like, oh my God, I wonder what's on this. And they'll plug it in. Oh my God. Pretexting. Actually, that's when you're pretending to be someone that you're not, That's when the bad guy's pretending to be someone that you're not and trying to gain information. Vishing, that's when we're using SMH and other or voice. I'm sorry, SMH is smishing, but vishing is when we're using voice over IP to gain information. Tailgating. Oh yeah, that's when I swipe my card and open the door and I let 3 people in behind me. And all of these, you may say, oh, do people actually fall for this? Yes, on a daily basis we do. So what are the stages of a social engineering attack? First part is select the victim. That is the first part. Okay, looking for someone that is an easy target, because we don't want to spend a lot of time on that target if we can find an easy one. Okay, then we're going to research that victim, find out about their home, their family. Are they having financial troubles? What's their favorite sports team? Maybe they go to church, whatever it may be. We're going to do the research on that victim, so we'll know everything about them, where now we can develop a relationship. Hey, you're a Dallas Cowboys fan. What about those Cowboys, huh? And now we start talking about Cowboys. Yeah, I say again, you may go to church. Oh my God, let's start talking about scriptures or whatever, because now we have developed a relationship. And once we develop that relationship, now the next part is, yes, exploit that relationship. Once I get inside with, into that your personal space, now I can start to understand, okay, oh, you work for Lockheed Martin. Oh, okay, well, or L3Com or wherever it may be, or Chase or any of, some banking firm. Well, what do you do there? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, wow, you must be you're a system administrator. That is so nice, so neat. And then you start finding out, oh, well, you've got some sicknesses in your family. Oh, yeah, I'm sure that's got to be expensive. Oh, the insurance doesn't cover everything. Well, I've got a couple of ways that we can help you out with resources. And now, before you know it, you've been socially engineered into, well, if we just give us access to this, quid pro quo, and then we'll do this for you. So it's so easy, if you're not careful, to get pulled into that social engineering attack circle, into that vector. Another type of reconnaissance attack is our DNS queries, internet information queries. There's a lot of information you can find out just by using some simple tools like, whois or NS name service lookup. Now this is just one, and if you notice, I even used myself. So this is one of our websites, simplicity of the word. This is the server. This is the IP address, the authoritative for the DNS. These are my DNS servers I use, right? That's the port 53. So now if I'm a someone who is trying to gain information doing reconnaissance, they know that I'm using Open DNS. All right. This is the name of the website, and this is the IP address of the website. So just by doing a simple lookup, this is just NS lookup, I was able to glean this much information, and all I did was typed in the name of my website. So and this is just a small snippet. There's much more you can do, and this is a who is example. Okay, now, I used Amtrak. I just made up one. Amtrak.com. And here again, this is public knowledge. So it's not like I did anything nefarious to get here. You just go to the internet and type in who is, as you see, Amtrak.com, and you start looking at some of the information. It gives you the HTTP address. It starts giving you people within the organization. It gives you the physical address, the email address of whoever registered the website. So you see, it's a lot of information public knowledge information that you can get as a part of this reconnaissance attack. So now this starts drilling down into the organization, who the web administrators are, and you can start pulling up a lot of information. Now, another tool that's used quite a bit, like I say, packet sniffers. This is an example, one of the really popular packet sniffers called Wireshark. And what Wireshark is, like I say, it's an open source application. You can download that right off the internet, right onto your computer. I've got it running at home on my home computers. But what it will do, it will show you all the packets, all the individual packets. And so if you are able to, get in and start, actually get a connection to the network that you want to start looking at, now you can see what type of traffic is going in and out. You can actually start digging into those packets. So now let's say if someone is sending passwords in the clear, they're not encrypted. They're using some older protocols like file transfer protocol, FTP, instead of secure file transfer protocol. When you're using FTP, everything that you send back and forth is unencrypted. It's in the clear. Anybody with packet tracer or a tool like this, they can see everything that you're using. So if you're starting a session, using some older protocols, I can see your logon name as well as the password. So these types of tools, like packet tracers, one that uses that can be used to do reconnaissance as well. Okay, go to our next section where we're going to talk about access attacks. We'll be right back.